ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मायं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखावितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम राम
Hare
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you very much for joining in and giving your precious time to us. Please accept our humble obeisances and Dhanva pranams from the devotees who have joined the group and are about to join, and the ones who will even see the recording later. Prabhuji, we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 2, Chapter 7, which is scheduled incarnation, and the text for today is text 49. So over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatamrandasya Gadangana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master forced to open my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. Let me offer my respectful obeisance unto him. So, text 49. Sashre Shayam Api Vibur Bhagavan Yatosya Bhava Swabhava Vihitasya Sata Prasidi Dehe Swadatu Vigame Nuvishir Yamane Vyome Vatatra Purusho Na Vishir Yateja. Translation. The personality of Godhead is the supreme master of everything, auspicious, because the results of whatever actions are performed by the living entities in either the material or spiritual existence are awarded by the Lord. As such, he is the ultimate benefactor. Every individual living entity is unborn, and therefore, even after the annihilation of the material elementary body, the living entity exists, exactly like the air within the body. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The living entity is unborn and eternal, and as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 2.30, the living entity is not exhausted even though the material elementary body is vanquished. As long as the living entity is in material existence, actions performed by him are rewarded in the next life, or even in the present life. Similarly, in his spiritual life also, actions are rewarded by the Lord by the 5 kinds of liberation. Even the impersonalist cannot achieve the desired merging into the existence of the Supreme without being favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4.11 that the Lord awards similar results as one desires in one's present life. The living entities are given freedom to make their choice, and the Lord awards them accordingly. It is the duty of everyone, therefore, to worship devoutly only the personality of Godhead to achieve his desired goal. The impersonalist, instead of speculating or meditating, can directly execute the routine devotional service of the Lord and thus easily obtain the desired goal. The devotees, however, are naturally inclined to become associates of the Lord and not merge in the spiritual existence as conceived by the impersonalist. The devotees, therefore, following their constitutional instincts, achieve the desired goal of becoming servitors, friends, fathers, mothers, or conjugal lovers of the Lord. The devotional service of the Lord involves 9 transcendental processes, such as the hearing and chanting, and by performing such easy and natural devotional services, the devotees achieve the highest perfectional results, far, far superior to merging into the existence of Brahman. The devotees are therefore never advised to indulge in speculating upon the nature of the Supreme or artificially meditating on the void. One should not, however, mistakenly think that after the annihilation of this present body, there is no body by which one can associate with the Lord face to face. The living entity is unborn. It is not that he is manifest with the creation of the material body. On the other hand, it is true that the material body develops only by the desire of the living entity. The evolution of the material body is due to the desires of the living being. According to the desires of the living being, the material body develops. So, from the spirit soul, the material body comes into existence, generated from the living force. Since the living being is eternal, he exists just like the air within the body. Air is within and without the body. Therefore, when the eternal covering, the material body, is vanquished, the living spark, like the air within the body, continues to exist. And by the direction of the Lord, because he is the ultimate benefactor, the living entity is at once awarded the necessary spiritual body befitting his association with the Lord in the manner of Swarupya, equal bodily feature, Salokya, equal facility to live on the same planet with the Lord, Shashti, equal possession of opulence like the Lord, and Samipya, equal association with the Lord. The Lord is so kind that even if a devotee of the Lord cannot fulfill the complete course of devotional service, unalloyed and uncontaminated by material association, he is given another chance in the next life by being awarded a birth in the family of a devotee or rich man, so that without being engaged in the struggle for material existence, the devotee can finish the remaining purification of his existence and thus immediately, after relinquishing the present body, go back home, back to Godhead. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. In this connection, detailed information is available in Bhagavad Sandarbha of Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada. Once achieving the spiritual existence, the devotee is eternally situated there, as already discussed in the previous verse. Jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, there's lots of things in here. And mostly, Prabhupada is again centering on the aspect of the Mayavadi conception of the absolute truth and how to avoid this trap. Yes, we all want liberation. We all want to be free of the whole maneno. What's maneno? of the troubles and trials and tribulations of this material world. And we don't want to be immersed in this anxiety. So naturally, there's an inclination to take to whatever is going to relieve us from this anxiety, and to go to Vaikuntha. But the problem is, when we don't have any personal connection with the Lord, when we don't have any idea of any personal connection with the Lord, then of course we're simply happy enough to just get out, no more anxiety, free from anxiety, and then merge into the Brahma Jyoti. But the problem is it's not satisfying, because by nature, Prabhupada is saying somewhere here, from what I recall, the constitutional position of the living entity is Satchit Anand, eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. So we cannot be full of knowledge if we're just merging into the light and everything is fine and rosy and dandy. Then eventually we just reach the stage where we need to do something else. So then we just completely and totally need to be active. It's not satisfying. So there's this desire for satisfaction. We're active. We have an active principle within us. It's inherent. It's intuitive. It's instinctive. So we have to satisfy that. But another point that is being made here, which unfortunately, this is propounded by all the Abrahamic religions, whether it's Judaism or Islam or Christianity, that the living entity only comes into existence at the time of birth, which is completely crazy. I mean, I have a lot of respect, particularly because I'm coming from a Christian background. I have a lot of respect for the teachings of Lord Jesus Christ, and a lot of respect for the teachings in the Bible, because that's what I grew up with. But this idea that the living entity only comes into existence at the time of conception, some even say at the time of birth, it's just so unfortunate that they have this idea, and they reject the notion of reincarnation, which is such an obvious thing to accept. Why would you reject it? But unfortunately, they do. So there, as Lord Chaitanya discussed in his debate with the Chand Kazi, and he was debating on the premise of the instructions in the Quran, Lord Chaitanya acknowledged, yes, there is some nature of the absolute truth depicted there in the Quran, but it's limited, and you haven't reached the proper conclusion, so your knowledge is limited. So after that debate, and which is recorded and depicted at great length in Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, we can read it at any time, and the debate went backwards and forwards, just like the debate with Krishna and Arjuna. It's recorded, it's there. And so finally, the Chankazi surrendered to Lord Chaitanya. So he accepted, yes, we don't have the total Siddhanta. We don't have the complete conclusion. We don't have the summum bonum. Prabhupada uses our phrases a lot. So even though the material body is vanquished, the living entity is not vanquished. And this is a basic understanding, a basic concept of Krishna consciousness. It's a basic concept of the spiritual life. Forget about Krishna consciousness. But this notion is not there in the other religions. So they don't have this opportunity as far as their philosophy goes. Of course, they do. They do take another birth. They have come from a previous birth, but whether they accept it or don't accept it, that fact remains. Just like we can accept very easily by logic and reason and argument that now it's dark, we can't see the sun, so it doesn't mean that the sun is gone. The sun is there, just on the other side of the planet. You people in London are stealing all our sunlight. So, but at the same time, because we can't see something, or because we don't understand something, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist or is no notion of it. So this concept, it's just unfortunate, but it's explained in great detail in the Vedic scriptures. Prabhupada says here, as long as the living entity is in material existence, actions performed by him are rewarded in the next life or even in the present life. So those actions can be good, they can be bad, or they can be indifferent. But in any case, whether we're pious or whether we're impious, we get the result. So we may not like it, we may not want to be in the body of another living entity, we may not want to be certainly in the body of an animal, we may want to be in the body of a demigod and enjoy the heavenly regions, but that it's completely and totally dependent on our actions in this life. So just like nobody wants to be born in the body of a pig, I've given this example before, but if we're completely and totally non-selective about what we eat, then it's not that we're cursed to be put in the body of a pig, or we're cursed to go to hell, and some big God in the sky is arranging things in such a way that you're cursed to go to hell eternally. This one lifetime where we make so many mistakes, or we make one mistake, just like Yamaraj, he was cursed to take birth as the Sudra, because he passed sentence on one Muni, I forget his name, and because he did something innocuous with an insect as a child, and he said, "But I've been pious my whole life, so now I've been cursed, to take birth and to go to hell because of this completely." And so I cursed you, because he had that power. So he cursed Yamaraj to take birth, and he took birth as a Sudra, and took birth as Vidura. So, but then he was also blessed with the association of Krishna, so he's considered to be one of the Mahatmas. But in this kind of a situation where we are going to get a different body, a body we may not like, we may want to be a demigod and enjoying the heavenly regions and enjoying in Swargalok and so on and so forth. But we can also be taking birth as a pig or some other animal or some other living entity. And it's not that because, we have planned to take birth as a pig, but because nature is arranged in such a way, you get equally exactly what you put in. So if you put your hand in the fire, you're going to get burnt. You put your hand in the fridge, you're going to get frozen. So it doesn't matter. We get exactly the results of our own action. Just like Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma came to Indra. Indra was cursed to take the body of a pig. He took the body of a pig, and he became so immersed in his pig's body that he just couldn't think of anything else. So he was going around with all his grunting and everything like that, and taking care of his Mrs. Pig and the piglets and everything like that. And Brahma came to him and said, "Okay," he said, "Okay, enough. I'll relieve you of this curse." And Indra was objecting. So how can you relieve? No, how can you do that? I have Mrs. Pig to take care of. My little piglets, they have to go to school. They need to go to university. They need to be educated, so on and so forth. And Brahma was astonished. This is the king of heaven, the king of heaven. And he's absolutely, totally bewildered in the body of a pig. This is Indra. So immediately Brahma just killed him. Said, "Okay, then that's it," and just relieved him of his pig's body. And then he went back to Swargalok and realized, wow, what happened there? So we're in the same situation. But all these bodies we take care of, whether they last for 10, 20, 50, 100, 1,000, a million years, whatever the case may be, they're all temporary. We're doing this in the first canto at the moment, where Prabhupada is describing that the whole material cosmic manifestation, it's unreal. It's unreal. So how can it be unreal? We can see it. I can touch the table, I can feel it, I can feel my feet on the ground, and so on and so forth, because it's temporary. And because it's temporary, it's chinchilla, it's flipping here, flipping there, flipping everywhere, but we identify with it as real. And then that's where we get ourselves into deep trouble. Whether we're engaged in pious activities, impious activities, it's irrelevant. It's both the same. Because we'll end up either in the heavenly planets or in the hellish planets, but it makes no difference. We're still misidentifying with something that is not real, regardless of where we go. So the only solution is just get out of the whole cycle and forget about heaven, forget about hell, and just get out of the whole thing. Prabhupada is saying here, similarly, in a spiritual life also, actions are rewarded by the Lord by the 5 kinds of liberation. Even the impersonalist cannot achieve the desired merging into the existence of the Supreme without being favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything is done under his control. Nothing is done separately. We can say, oh yeah, I'm independent and I just want to merge and I just want to relieve from all the suffering and I just want to get away from all this anxiety. But it doesn't work. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4.11. Let's have a look at 4.11. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Everyone. So there's no exceptions. So we don't know that we're following Krishna's path in all respects, but ultimately we are. Ultimately, we're all in the same situation. And in 230, it's O descendant of Bharat, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being. So we cannot be slain. But this misidentification with the body is what drags us deeper and deeper and deeper into the material whirlpool. So it is the duty of everyone, therefore, to worship devoutly, with devotion, only the personality of Godhead to achieve his desired goal. The impersonalists, instead of speculating or meditating on this or sitting in all these different yoga positions and getting into all kinds of contortions with hatha yoga and so on and so forth, just completely and totally dedicate your life to Krishna. He can directly execute the routine devotional service of the Lord and thus easily obtain the desired goal, regardless of what the goal is. Even if the goal is something material, the goal is something spiritual, regardless of what it is. If we want to engage in Krishna consciousness, or our goal or our desire is to engage in something material, or to accumulate wealth, or have prestige, or whatever, still we should worship Krishna. Still. The devotees, however, are naturally inclined to become associates of the Lord and not merge in the spiritual existence, as conceived by the impersonalists. The devotees, therefore, following their constitutional instincts. What are the constitutional instincts? Constitutional instinct is naturally service. That's why every country is based on a constitution. It's the foundation of the country, the foundation stone by which nothing else can be done without reference to the constitution. That's why the constitution. So our constitutional instincts, Prabhupada describes it here. Our instinct is to serve. That is our natural instinct. Everybody wants to serve. Everybody is serving. Whether they accept it or whether they deny it is irrelevant. The devotees therefore follow their constitutional instincts, achieve the desired goal by becoming servitors, by becoming friends, by becoming fathers, mothers, or conjugal lovers. Whatever your inclination is, it's yours, it's open, it's there, it's open to everybody. The devotional service of the Lord involves 9 transcendental processes, such as hearing and chanting. And by performing such easy and natural devotional services, the devotees achieve the highest perfectional results, far, far superior to merging into the existence of Brahman, far, far beyond this notion of no anxiety, far beyond it. But still, it still brings anxiety. Even on the highest level, the anxiety is there, but that anxiety is transcendental. Just like when in the 10th canto we read from the connection, the Rasa Leela, the relationship between Radha and Krishna. So Radha is separated from Krishna. She gets angry and she doesn't want to talk to Krishna. and she just, rejects him. And then Krishna goes crazy, and he tries to do everything to please her. And then she regrets the fact that she rejected him, and it goes backwards and forwards like that. It's like a normal relationship between two lovers, but this is on the highest level. And then after running away from Krishna, rejecting him, getting into a mood and, just completely and totally just getting into this mood of a lover and being just completely and totally just rejecting Krishna, saying, no, I don't want anything to do with you, go away, I don't want to talk to you again. So then Krishna, he goes away and he doesn't talk to her again. Just like in the rasa dance. In the rasa dance, Radharani was thinking, you see, I'm the best. I'm the one. I'm the only one. And then Krishna disappeared. And then she went crazy. So then this bee comes along and she has this whole conversation with a bee. And what does she say? You're the unreliable servant of an unreliable master. This is a real relationship. This is not just speculative, spiritual, philosophical. This is beyond philosophy. And this deepens and deepens and deepens the anxiety of separation. This whole mood of vipralamba, then everybody goes crazy in the mood that they might be separated from Krishna. Just like when Krishna is going off with Balaram in the morning, with the cowherd boys and the calves, and they're going off to the forest, and everybody's going to have a lovely day, and they all have their tiffins, and they're going to be exchanging burfis for gulab jamans and so on and so forth. Then the gopis are looking from the balcony of their house, and they're jealous because Krishna's going off to have fun. And they just spent the night with Krishna, and they're still jealous because this mood of vipralamba is so overpowering. Much more overpowering than the union that is normally expected. So the whole mood of vipralamba, that is what enhances the relationship. As soon as you're separated from the beloved, then immediately you're thinking about the beloved. This is natural, even in the material sense. And then when the union comes together again, it's not the same as intensity. But we don't get that if you're just a normal everyday Mayavadi who just wants to worship God in awe and reverence, or don't even have an idea of the personal concept of God. So Prabhupada is saying here, the devotees are therefore never advised to indulge in speculating upon the nature of the Supreme or artificially meditating on the void. I mean, what a loss. What a loss. To be inclined, vast majority of the population are atheistic of the planet, particularly in today's day and age. The notion of God is, particularly in Western society, more and more and more, the notion of God is completely rejected by all the mass media, by all the rakshasas controlling the planet. Their whole modus operandi is to get everybody to reject the idea of God, or to confuse those who are followers, those who are inclined towards theism, to reject and to take to materialism. That's why Prabhupada said, it's only in the last 200 years that we've become so immersed in the whole Kali Yuga thing. Not the last 5,000 years since the beginning of Kali Yuga, but in the last 200 years when the whole Industrial Revolution began. And people were forced by propaganda, by offers of a better way of life, people were forced to leave the villages and leave the small towns and head to the big cities, head to the cotton mill towns, head to the industrial areas where they were producing the steel and coal and everything like that. And this whole industrial, it's only since then, Prabhupada said, that the real Kali Yuga has taken hold. Otherwise, the vast majority of the population, even in Britain, even in Europe, they were living in the villages. And everything was self-sufficient and centered around the village activity. Everything was produced there. There was no this mass globalization of huge container ships going here, there, and everywhere in order to survive, like it is today. It was completely natural, much more so than it is now. So the whole notion of the onset of Kali Yuga and its really deepening presence started only 200 years ago, so from the time of the Industrial Revolution. And today it's deepening even more and more and more with the so-called tech revolution, bringing people more and more away from the Supreme Personality of Godhead to the point where we don't even have a clue what's going on. Nobody knows what is true. Nobody knows what is untrue. We have elections going on all over the world now in so many different places. And we just end up electing more and more and more Rakshasas. So one is a more benign Rakshasa than the other, but they're all Rakshasas. They're all of them. Doesn't make any difference where they are. They just couldn't care less about theism. Yeah, they hold up their Bible, they hold up their Quran, they hold up their Torah, and they say they proclaim their their love and devotion for the Lord and praise the Lord, and it's all complete propaganda. There's no depth to it. Otherwise, why would we have the end result that we've got now? It just goes on and on and on. Prabhupada goes on to say, one should not, however, mistakenly think that after the annihilation of this present body, there is no body by which one can associate with the Lord face to face. This is our goal. This is our objective, associating with the Lord face to face, in whatever capacity we want. In any capacity we want. Just think about it, that's it. You have that authority. You have that birthright to just engage with the Lord in any way you want. The living entity is unborn. It is not that he is manifest with the creation of the material body. Where does this nonsense idea come from? It makes no sense. And we can observe quite clearly, even from a scientific point of view, that the body is changing at every moment in time. So how did this notion in the Western civilization come about that no, you only get a soul when you have a human body? You don't have a soul in the body of a cow or an elephant or an ant or a dog eater. No, you only have a soul in the body of a human. And only then that soul comes into existence at the very time of conception. And still, even understanding that, they kill millions and millions and millions of children in the womb. So it's a complete demonic society. It sounds very strong to say that, and it sounds like it's completely and totally without any compromise, but that's exactly what it is. It is without compromise. And we are in a very precarious position. Padam padam yadvi padam natesham. This material world is danger at every step. So we don't want to end up, we want to get out now, use this very, very, very precious lifetime to make real what we're reading about in these books every day. To make it real, to make it the reality of our every single waking and sleeping moment. The evolution of the material body is due to the desires of the living entity, solely and wholly. No other reason. The evolution of the material body is due to our desire. So we can't be blaming God. Oh God, you made me be born in a poor family, and I have a disease, and I have this, and I have that. Why can't I be a king? Or why can't I be a prime minister? Or why can't I be a president? And so on and so on. We all have all these desires. And it's not that somebody is born in the body of a prime minister or a president or a king that he's immune from the sufferings of material existence. Everybody is conditioned. Everybody is conditioned, probably even more so than anybody else. According to the desires of the living being, the material body develops according to the desires, solely, completely, and totally according to our desires. From the spirit soul, the material body comes into existence, generated from the living force, generated from the spiritual energy, from nothing else. We were discussing this morning in class how we can have an iPhone, the latest Samsung, the latest Galaxy, or flying a 747 or whatever the case may be. And we have these amazing inventions. There's no doubt about it. This requires intelligence. This doesn't come from total stupidity. It's not everything is completely in the mode of ignorance, although it is. But at the same time, we don't recognize where these elements come from. You see the 747 flying in the sky with the pilot there, this tiny little spiritual spark is controlling this massive machine, and every single part of that machine has come from the earth. Everything has come from the earth. Every single part of your iPhone, it has come from the earth. It's come from the ground. It is given by God. So we didn't create it. We just use the intelligence that God gave us. Even the intelligence is coming from God. And we put all these things together by using our brain. Just like you would make a watch. We use our brain to put everything together. But everything came from the earth. Everything comes from God. Everything comes from nature. And we think, oh, we're completely divorced from nature. We're completely divorced from God. And then it goes on and on and on. Since the living being is eternal, he exists just like the air within the body. Air is within and without. Therefore, when the eternal covering, the material body, is vanquished, is destroyed, the living spark, like the air within the body, continues to exist. And by the direction of the Lord, because he is the ultimate benefactor, the living entity is at once awarded the necessary spiritual body befitting his association with the Lord in the manner of Swarupya, equal bodily feature, Salokya, equal facility to living on the same planet with the Lord, Sharshti, equal possession of the opulence like the Lord, and Samipya, equal association with the Lord. This is our choice. This is our choice. You pick whatever you want. Imagine, you can have equal facility to live on the same planet with the Lord, equal bodily feature as the Lord. I mean, it's the sky is the limit, literally. We're limited only by the limits of our own imagination. And that is confirmed by all the scriptures. Equals possession of opulence like the Lord. Even the Moonies, they can create their own planets. They can create their own universes. Arjun, he traveled to other planets. He traveled to Indralok. He got weapons from Lord Indra. He got weapons from Lord Shiva. He was a living entity. He's a spiritual spark, just like you and me. An equal association with the Lord. So we can have whatever life we want. We can become a servitor, a friend, father, mother, whatever the case may be, or a conjugal lover. Anything, it's up to us. The Lord is so kind that even if a devotee of the Lord cannot fulfill a complete course of devotional service, unalloyed and uncontaminated, unalloyed, that was a nice expression, unalloyed. So we have an alloy. So an alloy is a mixture of all different metals, and you get a particular end result of whatever it is you want. Just like you have gold and you have different variations of gold. You have pure gold, and then you have mixtures. So you have different variations of steel and so on and so forth. So that is called an alloy. One time in Pittsburgh, the devotees took Srila Prabhupada on a morning walk, and they were crossing this bridge in Pittsburgh over the Ohio River, and there was a plaque in the middle of the bridge that showed when the bridge was constructed, who cut the ribbon to open the bridge, and so on and so forth. And it was written on the plaque, unalloyed steel. Unalloyed steel. Prabhupada said, yes, this is what we want. We want unalloyed devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in everything that Prabhupada did, everything he saw, everything he heard, he connected with Krishna. Immediately, Prabhupada just saw the plaque, walking by in a hurry, walking very fast with his cane, his disciples beside him talking about something else. Prabhupada just caught on to this. Immediately, everything he did, everything he saw, everything he heard was connected with Krishna. Everything. So we have to become that much also transcendental. So everything we see, everything we touch, everything we do is connected with the Lord. It's connected with service to the Lord. So even if a devotee cannot complete the course of devotional service unalloyed and uncontaminated by material association, he's given another chance in the next life by being awarded a birth in the family of a devotee, which is the best, or a rich man, so that he can be engaged in this without the struggle for material existence. The devotee can finish the remaining purification of his existence, and thus immediately after relinquishing the present body, go back home, back to Godhead. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. There was one famous devotee, Vishnu Jan Swami, and Vishnu Jan Swami, he took his own life in Mayapur. He threw himself in the Ganga. And Prabhupada loved Vishnu Jan Swami. Prabhupada wrote him so many letters thanking him for his bhajans, for his singing, for his kirtan, for his harinam. He was just a wonderful devotee. Somehow or other he got mixed up, and he took his own life in Mayapur. So Prabhupada wrote him a letter, just like Prabhupada wrote to Jayananda. Prabhupada wrote a letter directly to Jayananda. Jayananda left his body and from cancer in the month of May in 1977, just a few months before Srila Prabhupada left. And Prabhupada wrote him a letter after he left, directly, "My dear Jayananda, please accept my blessings," thanking him for his years of dedicated devotional service. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter to Vishnu Jan Swami, who had a great influence on my life in my early devotional days. I loved Vishnu Jan, his bhajans, his kirtans. Vishnu Jan brought hundreds of devotees to Srila Prabhupada in the West Coast, particularly in Los Angeles. He would go out chanting on the streets of Los Angeles with a harmonium, a big harmonium strapped to his neck, chanting for 12, 14 hours a day. People were automatically attracted to his charisma and his singing. Prabhupada loved his bhajans. So Prabhupada said to Vishnu Jan in the letter, you have definitely reached the level of pure devotion. And even if you had some tinge of material desire remaining, you will go straight to Swargalok, where you will dance and sing and play bhajans and kirtans for the residents of the Swargalok. And from there you go straight back to Godhead. So it doesn't make any difference. If you're connected with devotional service, it is guaranteed. Declare it boldly, O Arjun, my devotee never perishes. And that is guaranteed. In this connection, Prabhupada says, detailed information is available in Bhagavad Sandarbha of Jiva Goswami Prabhupada. Once achieving the spiritual existence, the devotee is eternally situated there, as already discussed in the previous verse. Once achieving spiritual existence, the devotee is eternally situated there. So there's no doubt that if we stick with the process, we go with it, and we just follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, we get his mercy. We automatically get his mercy. And we as grand disciples, he's more, the grandfather is more merciful to the children than the father is. So he is our grandfather, and he will give us absolute munificent mercy. Just like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, Prabhupada said of his spiritual master, my spiritual master will be very kind to you, even if I'm not, because you have been sent by my spiritual master to assist me in my mission. And you're all assisting, all you boys and girls, he said this in Atlanta, all you boys and girls, you've been sent by my spiritual master to assist me in my mission. And I'm so grateful for your service, the service that you rendered. You haven't rendered it to me. It's only by the mercy of my spiritual master that I've been able to achieve anything. So this is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, Srila Prabhupada talking about his disciples, that the grand spiritual master will be more merciful. So Srila Prabhupada is merciful to us, and we are the grand disciples of Srila Prabhupada. So we should take advantage of that and just completely and totally take shelter of Srila Prabhupada's unlimited mercy. Unlimited. Prabhupada used to say, please, whatever you do, please don't force me to come back and save you. So you can imagine, Prabhupada is willing to come back and save us. This is Srila Prabhupada. This is his unlimited mercy. So, as devotees, as grand disciples, for the most part, most of the people on this Zoom meeting are grand disciples. We should just completely and totally surrender to the instructions of Srila Prabhupada and take full advantage of his mercy. And just in this lifetime, Prabhupada said in Melbourne, and one devotee in the audience asked Srila Prabhupada, it seems like it's so difficult. Is it possible to achieve anything connected with devotional service, with being a pure devotee in this lifetime? Prabhupada said, you can do it in a second. In a second, anybody can do it. So, in that second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse 30, that Srila Prabhupada is quoting, Krishna is saying Prabhupada is saying in the purport, the Lord now concludes the chapter of instructions on the immutable spirit soul. In describing the immortal soul in various ways, Lord Krishna establishes that the soul is immortal and the body is temporary. Therefore, Arjuna, as a Kshatriya, should not abandon his duty out of fear that his grandfather and teacher, Bhishma and Drona, will die in the battle. So this applies to us. Obviously, we're not in Kurukshetra. We're not fighting with weapons. We're not going out to kill anybody. But at the same time, we may upset people during the course of our devotional endeavor. We may upset family, we may upset society, we may upset friends, and so on and so forth, because we're taking to the process. Other people may not appreciate that. So we may get a lot of obstacles in that, whether it's from siblings, whether it's from our parents, whether it's from our children. It doesn't make any difference. We're going to get we're going to meet some obstacles, and that will be a challenge to us. But ultimately, we have to stick with the process and stick with the goal. First of all, we have to understand what is the goal, and then we have to appreciate what is the process. And then when we're convinced about it, then nothing can shirk us. Nothing can deviate us from the process. So he's afraid out of fear that his grandfather and teacher, this is his grandfather, and someone he held dear, who guided him throughout his whole childhood, throughout his whole life. And Dronacharya, his guru, his martial arts guru, who was instructing him from day one how to fight. Don't be afraid that they will die in the battle. So this is a big thing. Imagine your grandfather is on the opposing side and you're in a war and you're told to go out and shoot him. That's a big deal. But he did that. That's why he was lamenting. Because he didn't want to do that, because he was compassionate. So we are also compassionate. Devotees are compassionate people. It's our natural inclination. But at the same time, we can't be mixing this compassion with sentimentality. It doesn't mean that we're uncaring, or we don't care about people's feelings, or we just want to purposely upset people. Arjuna didn't want to upset anybody. He didn't want to go out and fight. We are in the same boat. We don't want to upset people, but at the same time, we know the direction that we need to go. And we need to go through that, in that direction, with compassion, with loving exchange with others as far as is possible. But sometimes it reaches a point where we just have to say, okay, I'm sorry, this is my goal. This is my direction. I'm a living entity. I'm an individual. I need to follow my own path. And I need to follow my own direction. And whatever society thinks about that, sorry, that's not my way. And when sometimes we need to make those hard decisions. They're not easy, but sometimes we need to do it. On the authority of Sri Krishna, Prabhupada says, one has to believe that there is a soul different from the material body, not there is no such thing as a soul, or that living symptoms develop at a certain stage of material maturity resulting from the interaction of chemicals. It's another misconception. That's just a bunch of chemicals coming together, and that's what's creating life, denying even the very existence of the soul. This is the total atheists. At least the Abrahamic religions, they accept the existence of the soul, misinformation only at the point of conception. But the atheists don't accept the existence of the soul at all. Imagine how far removed they are from the absolute truth. There's a whole bunch of chemicals come together. That's what creates life. This is the nonsense that the whole world is going on, this idea. Though the soul is immortal, violence is not encouraged. Nobody's encouraging violence. But at the time of war, it is not discouraged. When there is an actual need for violence, it must be there. That need, Prabhupada says, must be justified in terms of the sanction of the Lord and not capriciously or whimsically, just for political reasons, for power, for honor, for prestige, for wealth. No, it should be sanctioned by the Lord. Then there's nothing wrong with anything we can do in the service of the Lord. The Bhagavad Gita was spoken on a battlefield. Everybody talks about peace and love and so on and so forth. Here's the Bhagavad Gita being spoken on a battlefield. So Prabhupada says in the purport, everyone is searching for Krishna in the different aspects of his manifestations. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is partially realized in the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. There is some realization there in the effulgence, as the all-pervading supersoul dwelling within everything, including the particles of the atoms. But Krishna is fully realized only by his pure devotees. Consequently, and to the degree that we surrender, to the degree that we become pure, then to that degree, Krishna reveals himself. Mata smrita jnanam apohanam cha. To that degree. So if we really want to get the nectar, then dive in, just accept it, just follow the philosophy. Consequently, Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. It's as simple as that. According to our desire to have him, we can have him. And how deep that desire goes, or how shallow that desire is, regardless whether it's going into it deeply into it, or whether we're just on the surface devotees, then that's completely and totally in our hand. There's nothing stopping us from advancing, and there's nothing stopping us from holding ourselves back except us. Nothing else. We can't just blame. It's past the time now of the blame game. Oh, this one did this one said that, this one doesn't like me. I said this to that, and forget it. Just forget it. Just dive in. According to one's desire to have him. In the transcendental world also, in the transcendental world. So here we're talking about Goloka Vrindavan. Prabhupada is saying here, just as the devotee wants him, Krishna will reciprocate. One devotee may want Krishna as Supreme Master, another as friend, another as son, still another as lover. Krishna rewards all the devotees equally, according to their different intensities of love for him. So love is love. Love is love. But there are intensities, there are gradations of love. There are different intensities. So we have a different relationship with our parents, our mother, our father, than we do with our daughters, with our sons, with our lovers, whatever the case may be, with husband. It's all love, but at different levels. We can have the same level according to the intensity of the desire. We can have that love for Krishna. So it's completely and totally up to us. With the help of the Guru, with the help of the spiritual master. But just like we explained previously, when the birds are flying in the flock for protection, each and every individual bird has to flap his own wings. It's not because they're flying in formation. You see them so often in the sky, they're flying in formation. They're migrating from one part of the world to the other. And one bird decides, oh, I've had enough of this. Let me just rest for a bit. Then what happens? Boom, falls down. That's it. So it's up to us. Whatever we want to do, we can do. The sky's the limit. Vaikuntha is the limit. There is no limit. Just go for it. Dive in. The ocean of devotion, it awaits. Jai, thank you very much for your time and your patience. I believe we have a couple of minutes left. If there are any questions or comments, I'd be very happy to try and give an answer. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for this wonderful session. Panchali Mataji, kindly unmute and ask your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you for the
Jai,
class.
Haribol.
Prabhuji, just on the last point of gradation, so my query is, so say for example Hanuman, he's never going to be able to love Krishna in Madhurya Ras or Vatsalya Ras, but does that make his love any lesser than, say, Mother Yashoda's love or Radharani's love? So why is
Definitely not.
gradation? So is it not on a parallel platform, the love?
Yes, yes. Love, as we were describing earlier, love is love. We all have relationships with different people, and even in the material sense. And so we can love our children, we can love our husband, our wife, we can love our father, our mother, we can love our grandparents, whatever the case may be. They're all different gradations of love, but the love is there. The love is the same. It's just it's a deeper relationship, and you like Sudama Brahman. He's not going to ever have a relationship with the Lord in conjugal ras. But look at the level of reciprocation and love that Krishna exchanged with Sudama Brahman when he came to see him, bringing him a little bag of chipped rice. Krishna was overwhelmed with joy and started eating this chipped rice, had to be stopped by the goddess of fortune. No, don't eat any more. We won't be able to pay him back. So there are different levels of love. And can we say that Sudama Brahman's love for Krishna or Krishna's love for Sudama Brahman was any less? Of course not. There are different degrees. Hanuman with Lord Ram, that's his life. That's his whole, we're sold out. Prahlad Maharaj with Lord Nrsingadev. I mean, you know, can you imagine this unbelievable form, half man, half lion? And Prahlad Maharaj was he's the very reason for the existence of Lord Nrsingadev was to come because of his love for his devotee, and he manifested in such a form. So we can have so many, and those relationships also can change at any moment in time, according to our desire. As our desire intensifies, our desire increases, our desire broadens, we can also change. Whatever we want, there is no limitation, none whatsoever. We can just go as deep as we want. We can go in whatever direction we want. It's all love. As Prabhupada used to explain, when you buy the gulab jamun, you buy it on the right side, you buy it on the left side, you buy it on the top, you buy it on the bottom. It's all sweet. It doesn't make any difference. Everything is love. It's based on love. Yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Hare
Jai.
Krishna.
Thank you. Haribol.
Hare Krishna, we've exhausted our time, but are there any burning questions?
Burning questions. Wow, what kind of a question is a burning question? I mean,
So
you
the
have to have,
burning question
a
is,
flame, a torch flame, or a burning question. Anyone with burning questions, please. Thank you.
so I have a burning question.
Oh no.
Okay, so or maybe we can leave it for next time because I think the answer will be quite long coming from you.
Oh, okay.
We'll let you go. You've done too much this week, but I'll reserve this question for you.
Yeah,
next.
please do.
Okay, so let us conclude today's session. Panchali Mataji, are you able to conclude the session for today? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes, thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class as always. You took us through a really nice journey of our karma, what we deserve in this life, what can happen in the next life, of the various beliefs around us in this material world, right from atheists to theists, and impersonalism to the very personal way of realizing Krishna, and what is the most beneficial to us, and what the guidance is also given, what Krishna himself tells us in the Bhagavad Gita, especially in chapter 2 around the soul and recognizing us as spirit souls, and directly connected to him. And you ended very beautifully on the different types of love, along with touching upon the pastime of Radharani and the gopis during Rasa Leela. So thank you very much, Prabhuji, for taking us through that journey. And we learned quite a lot today. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Thank you very much.
Let us chant to glorify Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare. Vanchakalpa
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa
Tarubhyascha Kripa
sindhu bhaivacha
Sindhubhaivacha
patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
namo.
Namo Namaha.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai.
Jai. Jai.
His Grace Vidura Prabhuji ki
Jai.
jai. Grantaraj
Thank
Srimad
you.
Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
jai.
Jai. Hari Hari Bol.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you,
very
Prabhuji.
much.
Hare Krishna.